Yes, it's rainy and it's a bad hair day, but honestly, there is no better weather to tell you this story because everything you are about to hear starts with the rain exactly like this. So guys, let's go down. This is one of the most photographed landscapes on Earth. Bali's rice terraces, green stairs carved into the mountains, beautiful, Instagram-like. Yeah, so maybe not today, but you are looking at one of the most intelligent systems humans have ever built. 1,000 years old, no government, no engineers, just farmers who figured out something that modern scientists could not. UNESCO did not protect this place for its beauty. They protected it because it works so good, and right now it is dying. This is the story of Subak and why its disappearance should worry all of us. So let's dive deeper into it. So I just took my umbrella and now we move on. Picture a farmer named Ryan. His field is at the bottom of the valley. He planted his seedlings like 3 days ago. They are young, fragile, desperate for water. But the 5 farmers above him have opened their gates at the same time. They have taken everything. Ryan's canal is dry. His seedlings are dying under the sun. His family will not eat well this season. This is what economists call the tragedy of the commons. When a shared resource has no coordination, everyone loses. The farmers at the top take everything, the farmers at the bottom get nothing. Or everyone floods their fields at the same time and there is not enough for anyone. The farmers in Bali recognized these problems over 1,000 years ago, and their solution is so elegant that modern scientists could not improve on it. The solution is Subak. But before we talk about the system, you need to see what these farmers built with their bare hands. Yeah, the terraces you see in the photos are not natural landscape. Every square meter was created by human hands, and building them was only the beginning. Imagine standing in front of a steep mountain slope. Your task, turn it into flat fields that can hold standing water. No machines, no concrete, just you and simple tools. The farmers started by digging into the slope with hoes, shovels, their bare hands. They removed earth, peeled it up, and step by step shaped horizontal platforms. The edges of these steps needed walls, otherwise the first heavy rain would wash everything away. So they built barriers from packed earth and clay, sometimes mixed with stones. These walls are the edges you see in every photograph. A single terrace can be tiny, sometimes only a few square meters, just enough for one family. Over generations, these fields grew together. Sons expanded their fathers' terraces, new families cleared new land. That is how the massive systems were created that today cover entire valleys. But here's what tourists never see. The work never stops. After every rainy season, cracks appear in the walls and earth slides down. The farmers must rebuild, press down, smooth out. And then there is the vegetation. Some farmers plant specific grass on the walls. Its deep roots strengthens the structure, but other plants cause problems. Wrong roots make the packed earth weak and porous. Tall grass give rats and pests hiding places right next to the corn or to the crops, So farmers carefully control what grows on every wall. They cut back unwanted plants with sickles. Field by field, wall by wall, week after week. Without this invisible maintenance, the terraces would collapse within a few years. What looks like a timeless landscape is actually a system under constant repair. Now you might be wondering, why go through all this trouble? Why not just grow rice on flat and near a river? The answer lies in the rice plant itself. And it's stranger than you think. Here's something most people do not know. Rice is a grass. It is related to wheat, corn, and even bamboo. But rice has a superpower. It can survive in standing water. Its stems contain air channels that carry oxygen down to the roots. Oh, sorry, I have no roots here to show. And this is why it does not drown when the field is flooded. But This superpower comes with a catch. The rice is incredibly demanding about water timing. The life cycle takes about 5 months in Bali. It starts with seedlings grown in small beds for about 3 weeks. Then comes the hardest work, preparing the main field. The soil must be soft, muddy, perfectly level. This is where the water buffalo come in. These are massive animals, pull blows through ankle-deep mud. Their wide hooves pressing the soil down without sinking. An ox would collapse in the tropical heat. A tractor would get stuck. Only the water buffalo can do this work. And then the planting begins. Farmers wade into the flooded field, bent over, under the burning sun. Each seedling is pushed into the mud by hand, one by one, with precise spacing. 1 hectare means tens of thousands of hand movements. Now here's the critical part. The part that makes the entire Subak system necessary. In the first weeks of planting, the field must stay flooded. Without water, the young seedlings die within days. Over the next 2 months, as the plants grow and flower, they still need water, but less. And then comes the moment that changes everything. About 2 weeks before harvest, the water must be completely drained. Why? If the ripening grains stay in water, they will rot. Or they sprout right on the stalk. 5 months of back-breaking work. Destroyed. Trained too early, the grains are unripe and worthless. Too late, they fall off the stem, or the rain comes and ruins everything. So the same field needs to be flooded, then partially flooded, then bone dry. All at precisely the right moments. And remember, hundreds of farmers share the same water source. This is the puzzle that Subak solves. And the solution is breathtaking. Let's go! Subak is first of all a community. All farmers whose fields are fed by the same water source form one Subak. This can be 50 farmers or 400. This can be a small village or several together. In Bali today, there are about 1,200 such communities. Around 300,000 members in total. And every one of these communities is simultaneously a democratic assembly, a religious brotherhood, and a technical infrastructure. Let me show you the infrastructure first, because this is where everything becomes concrete. Imagine a river flowing down from the mountains. At a strategic point, often where the land becomes flatter, the farmers build a small dam, or dam, I don't know. Not to block the water, but to raise it and redirect it. From this dam, a main canal branches off, but it does not follow the steepest path downhill. Instead, it runs almost horizontal along the slope. This way it can carry water far from the river, to fields that would otherwise get nothing. From this main canal, smaller canals branch off, and from those even smaller ones. The system spreads like the blood vessels in your body. In the end, tiny channels reach every single field. At every branching point, a gate. This sounds technical, but it is often just a stone, a wooden board, or a lump of clay. Remove it, water flows. Put it back, water stops. Every farmer controls precisely when and how much water reaches his field. Now comes the elegant part. The water does not disappear. Every terrace has a small overflow notch at its lower edge. When the field is full enough, the extra water flows through this notch to the next terrace below, and from there to the next. The water travels down the slope like going downstairs, field by field, step by step. At the bottom of the valley, it collects again, in streams leading back to the main river, or it seeps into the ground and feeds springs further down, where other farmers tap it again. Nothing is wasted. The water is not used up, it is passed on. This entire infrastructure is built from wood, stone, earth, and palm leaves. No concrete, no machines. Everything made by hand and maintained over generations. Every Subak has an elected leader, the PKC. He leads meetings, coordinates water distribution, mediates disputes. But he is not the boss. He does not give orders. He organizes agreement. Because in the Subak, all decisions are made together. Every member has one vote, no matter how big or small his field is, no matter what caste he belongs to. But the true genius of Subak is not the canals. There's something far more clever. Remember the problem. Every rice field needs to be flooded at one point and drained at another. Hundreds of farmers share the same water. And if everyone needs the maximum at the same time, there's not enough for anyone. The Subak solution is called staggered planting. And it is brilliant. Imagine the river system like a ladder. The fields at the very top of the mountain planted first. A few weeks later, the level downwards starts. And then to the next, until we arrive in the valley down. This means that at any given moment, different fields need different amounts of water. While the fields at the top are already being drained for the harvest, the fields more downwards are just being flooded for new seedlings. The peak demand never hits all at once. The water travels like a slow wave down the slope. Everyone gets what they need, and when they need. But staggered planting has a second effect, and scientists believe that this might be even more important. Rice has deadly enemies. The brown plant hopper, for example, a tiny little insect that can destroy an entire harvest within a few days. These pests multiply explosively when they find a continuous food source. When every field around them has rice at the same growth stage, the plant hopper will travel from field to field, like coming from the supermarket to the next supermarket, eating and breeding without interruption. But when planting is staggered, a patchwork appears across the landscape. Here stands young rice, there stands ripe rice. The next field is just empty and flooded. The pests cannot find a continuous path. Their life cycle is broken. They starve or drown. This is natural pest control. No chemicals, no pesticides, just clever timing. And here's the most remarkable part of this story. So in the 1980s, the Indonesian government tried to modernize Indonesia's agriculture. They introduced chemical pesticides. They told farmers to abandon staggered planting and synchronize their harvests instead. Plant everything at the same time, harvest everything at the same time. More efficient, they said. The result was catastrophic. Pest outbreak exploded across the Balinese island. Harvests that had been stable for centuries were suddenly devastated. Plant hoppers, freed from the natural barrier of staggered planting, swept through the synchronized fields like wildfire. Scientists, including the American researcher Stephen Lansing, who spent years studying the system, had to admit something very humbling. The traditional method, developed by local farmers with no formal education, was superior to the modern scientific approach. The farmers had been solving a problem that scientists did not even realize existed. So we have the terraces, the canals and the timing, but none of this explains how the system has survived for over 1,000 years. How do you keep hundreds of thousands of people cooperating across generations without a government forcing them? The answer has two parts. One is spiritual, the other one is social. Bali is shaped by Hinduism. For the Balinese, water is sacred. It flows from the gods who live in the mountain peaks, down through springs and rivers to the people below. It is a divine gift, and threatening it carelessly is a spiritual offense. At the crater lake of Vulcano Batur stands the most important water temple of the island, Pura Ulun Danu Batur. The Balinese believe this lake feeds all of Bali's water underground. It is the sacred source. Every Subak has its own small temple. Along the waterways stand more shrines. A whole network of sacred sites accompanies the water on its journey from the mountain to the field. The priests of these temples coordinate a ritual calendar tied to the agricultural cycle. Before sowing, offerings. When the water enters the canals, ceremonies. After the harvest, thanksgiving.
These rituals create a shared rhythm across the island. All Subaks follow the same calendar. The temples function in practice as the coordinators of the entire system. Behind this stands a philosophy called Hita Karana, the three causes of well-being: harmony with the gods, harmony with other people, and harmony with nature. This is not abstract belief, it is the operating system of Balinese society. And you can watch a documentary about this here on this YouTube channel. Please check our 10 episodes out. And then there are the rules. Every Subak has its own written code called Awig-Awig. These are not government laws, they are agreements the community creates together. They cover everything: how much water each farmer receives, when to plant, who must help repair canals, and who maintains the vegetation on the terrace walls. What happens when someone breaks the rules? The punishments are real. Take more water than allowed, you pay a fine. Miss community work, you must compensate. In serious causes, you face exclusion from the Subak. And exclusion does not just mean losing water access. It means losing your place in the community, your social world. These rules work because everyone helped create them. And because in a village where everyone knows everyone, social pressure is inescapable. If you cheat, your neighbors see it. Your reputation is destroyed. Your children's reputation is destroyed. Exactly this combination, shared belief, shared rules, shared consequences, is what held this system together. No police needed, no bureaucracy, just community. But even a 1,000-year-old system can break. And right now, it is breaking. Yeah, in the village of Kedabatan near Ubud, there used to be over 80 families farming rice within a single Subak. Today, fewer than 30 remain. The rest sold their land, and where their fields once were, there are now villa compounds with infinity pools overlooking the terraces that are left. The same pools are filled with the same water the remaining farmers need for their rice. This is happening all across Bali and Indonesia. Tourism has become the island's dominant economy. Of course, it is helping for some people, earning more money. Over 60 million visitors came in the recent years here to Bali, and they need hotels, restaurants, swimming pools, golf courses. All of this uses enormous amounts of water, and the consequences are dramatic. According to environmental organizations here on the island, around 200 of Bali's 400 big rivers have dried up already or become intermittent. In the south, where the tourism is mostly concentrated, a severe water crisis is already underway. Wells must be drilled deeper every year, salt water is creeping into coastal aquifers, and the land itself is slowly disappearing. Property prices near tourist areas have risen so high that a farmer can sell one rice field and earn more money than a lifetime of harvest would bring. The math is brutal, yeah? A day of back-breaking work in the mud earns a fraction of what you get for a hotel job. Like air conditioning versus burning sun. A steady salary versus the uncertainty of weather and pests. The young generation is leaving. In many Subaks, the average age of active farmers rises every year. Sons move to Denpasar or the tourist zones. Daughters study business or hospitality. The knowledge of how to read the water, how to repair the walls, how to time the planting, this knowledge lives in the hands and minds of old men. And when they die, it dies with them. But the cruelest part is how interconnected the destruction is. Remember, the Subak system works because every field is linked. Water flows from the terrace to terrace. Like if one farmer in the middle of the chain sells his land to a developer, the water path is cut. The farmer below him loses his supply. His fields dry out, so he sells too. And the next farmer has no water. A single sale can trigger a chain reaction that destroys an entire Subak. In the south of Bali, Hita, Seminyak, Legian, the rice fields have almost completely vanished, replaced by concrete. The Subak systems there are not declining, they are gone. In 2012, UNESCO declared 5 Subak areas World Heritage Sites. This was an important step. It brought international attention and there's some legal protection, but outside these 5 zones, the destruction continues unchecked. And even within them, the pressure is mounting every year. The question is not whether Subak will face a crisis. The crisis is already here. The question is whether anything will remain in 20 years. So the next time you see a photo of Bali's rice terraces, always remember, you are not only looking at beautiful landscape, you are most importantly looking at the result of over 1,000 years of human cooperation. Countless generations who shaped these terraces with their own hands. A system that works without computers, bureaucracy, and without force. Subak shows that humans can solve problems that they could never do alone. And it shows how fragile the cooperation really is. And if you want to not just hear about all the stuff, but also experience it by yourself, the Garden of Life has created this opportunity for you with the Desa project. Desa means village in English, and it is I think the Balinese word for village. Yeah, and within Desa you can join the Multitude experience in the region of Tabanan, and there you can step right into the rice fields together with the farmers, plant rice, ride the water buffalo, have a nice snack, and of course ask all your questions to the farmers that are in your mind. And right nearby is Kedai Nol, a small cafe that Garden of Life brought back to life together with the local community. And there you can enjoy fresh Balinese kopi and the coconut, a view over exactly the terraces we just talked about. A share of the income goes directly back to the local people, and you will find the link in the channel description to the Desa trips. So maybe you are asking yourself right now, but what does a daily life of a Balinese farmer really look like? When does he stand up? What is he doing all the day? What is his favorite food? What does he think about his work and about the future? So all these questions will get answered in an interview video with a real Balinese farmer. Just stay tuned for this video. Please subscribe this channel, and thanks for watching. See you soon.